Welcome to the It's Your Fate podcast. Conversations to guide your steps and light your path in deciding your definite major purpose. I'm your host, Lefford Fate. Hello, this is Lefford Fate, and in this series of 17 podcast episodes, which is hosted by my good friend and colleague Mike Saunders, you're going to learn about the principles to a positive mental attitude.
Well, welcome back. And today we have with us Napoleon Hill certified leader Johnny Lloyd talking about principle number 10, which is accurate thinking. Johnny, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike. It's such a pleasure to be here.
So give us a little bit of background on this principle, and then why is it relevant for today?
Okay, that's a great question. Accurate thinking, I call it the 3 pounds of unlimited power. Since it is the power of thought, can be both positive and negative, dangerous and innovative, beneficial and destructive, but it's the power to take control of our own mind. Now, the relevance is actually really powerful during this season because we get so much information from media, Google, all of these other places that we can just get information on a dime. I mean, just on a penny, actually. But what happens is we don't necessarily accurately deal with the information because information is actually just data. So now the relevance is we need to be able to take the information and use deductive and inductive reasoning to determine what's opinion and what's fact, and then separate those facts in our head or even in our lives as what's fiction, what's hearsay, and what can be supported by evidence. Because if we're not able to do that, it becomes very painful to have all that information and no way to dissect it.
Yeah, and what you just described there, I think if we broke it down into small segments, every single one of those would make total sense. But I wonder if you could touch on this point that was crossing my mind. That sounds like a lot of work. So how do you advise someone that would hear that and say, oh, I do need to have accurate thinking, but wow, all those steps at a moment's notice throughout the day, every day, all the time, that's a lot of work. So how do you address that?
Well, you know what? It's really addressed about not just the work, but looking at the results. Because if we look at it from being result-oriented, we'll go through the work because it costs us money, time, our health to go in the wrong direction or to gain information that is not accurate because we make decisions based on that. And if we make the wrong decision from information and we have not went through some of the process, I mean, you don't have to, some of the things just don't make sense. You know, use our common sense, and then there's ways to look at it and say, are they trying to entice me? Are they trying to influence me? Do they really want my money? So there's a quick check, and it's your habit. As you build a habit, it doesn't take that much work.
Yeah, that's a really big one there, too, because you might break down those points of pausing and reflecting and thinking accurately, right, and think, well, those are, 4 or 5 or 6 steps, but just work on the first one and make that a habit because then that becomes that, kind of like the needle in the old record, it's in that groove and you're not going to get out of it, and then you can work on the next piece of it.
Right. And is it working for you? That's the other thing. Look at your life. If it's not working for you, maybe it may be great information, but it may not be accurate for you. So make it personal.
So I would like to ask one more question about the overview of accurate thinking, because you said 2 words that made me think of a big question for you. Mm-hmm. So is it true that accurate thinking can be right for one person and different, but still right for another person? How does accurate thinking remain the same as well as change from person to person?
Okay, so there's 2. That's a super question. So there's a couple things. Truth is truth.
Yes.
I mean, gravity is a principle. It's just true. It's not based on your opinion. It's just true. And then you have some things where someone says, I did this for my child and this, or don't have children and giving you information. Well, you don't have the basis. That person doesn't have the basis to accurately give me information as to how I should work with my child.
Yeah.
So just because, and even if it did work for their child, doesn't mean it works for mine. Because all of us have heredity and we have social influence. So what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. So you have to work what works for you. Now, again, truth is truth, and a lie is a lie. So we have to look at it from that perspective too. But really, we need to make it personal and see how we're going to grow from that launching pad.
Yeah, that's a really big point, because the environment you are in or have been brought up in would change that scenario. So someone might be living in a small town and be saying, using accurate thinking, I want to give you some advice. You need to go work for the factory to succeed. Well, for that person in the small town, the only employer is the factory, and you can't put that out there for every human being, because someone else might live in New York City and say, what's a factory, so that's a great point. Truth is truth, but then there's the application of your personal environment, upbringing, sociological perspectives, and all of that needs to be layered in. That's a really good
absolutely insight. That's an excellent, right. Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, we pointed out just a couple, what I would say misconceptions. What is something else that you've seen out there would be a misconception about accurate thinking when you work with people and they just don't understand it the way that they should, and then when you explain it, the light bulb goes off?
Right. One of the things is that the computer or all the technology takes the place of accurate thinking.
Oh, yeah.
That is a misconception. With all the information, as I addressed before, is we need to think even more accurately. Now, one of the things that Napoleon Hill brings up, I think, is one of the most powerful thought processes of the benefits of accurate thinking. Well, when you don't think accurately, it impacts every aspect of your life negatively. But when you think accurately, you think from a perspective of self-awareness, and that's the other thing. Some people, the misconception is, I don't need to be aware of me, of who I am and what I was created to do. But that purpose leads to your accurate thought as to what your future is and where you direct your resources, where you direct your energy, all of that. So a huge misconception is that we do not have to control our lives. However, the truth is, if we don't control our lives, somebody else is in control.
And here's a deeper thought on that, because I agree with that 1,000%. If you don't control your life, someone else is in control, and guess who gave them that control? You did by default.
By default. And I said people don't get it.
I know.
But it's a simple analogy for me that I use sometime when I train is that I use a ship with a rudder. The rudder is a small thing attached to the ship, but it helps give it direction and focus. Yeah. And that's the way our brain is. Our brain and accurate thinking will take us in the direction and focus, and it tweaks things. So if we made a bad decision today or it wasn't the best decision, we learn from that and we build on that and hopefully make better decisions in the future. But like you said, if we don't control ourselves, someone else will take control, and we gave them that. Yeah. And we don't want to be victims. We want to be victorious. So we need to
I'm a big quote person. I love quotes, and I think I am remembering this correctly, that I want to say that it's Eleanor Roosevelt that was known for saying, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Meaning, it's you. It's you. Someone might say something and you could go, oh, that makes me feel inferior, but you have to get permission for that thought to make you feel inferior. And if you don't feel inferior as a whole, then they can say whatever and it's bouncing right off. So yeah, that's a really big aha. What we've been talking about right there is when you lose control by not taking control, you're giving it away, but the action started with you, and it wasn't a aggressive offensive action. It was the action of inaction. And I think that's kind of like that confusing statement of expect the unexpected. Well, if you expect the unexpected, then really it's not unexpected. So it's like that circle of thought,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Hey, so I'm confident that accurate thinking is something that someone would develop over time. And at some point in time, you personally did not have accurate thinking dialed in as much as you do now. So can you think of, like, before, after, what kind of positive changes did you experience in your life, personally and professionally, after learning how to really dial this in and apply it?
Yeah, I like the question because I haven't always been where I am right now. So to give the listeners and everybody an opportunity, we become better. So one of the things that happened in my life is, as an executive and coming from a place of homelessness in the past and building up, I started taking control of areas of my life. However, I did a pendulum thing, and I went all the way to the opposite side. And so the accurate thinking caused me to steer instead of trying to control other people, to help them, give them information, give them instructions so they can make their own decisions. And that's what happened in my life. I ended up thinking differently, and because my thought process happened differently, I was able to start serving people instead of attempting to control them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is similar to what they say in martial arts. Don't try to stop the punch, just kind of divert it so that it takes their energy and it moves it in another direction, but you didn't absorb it.
Right, because now I'm happier because I think better, and it's like I love Napoleon Hill, what he says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can. The word there is critical, can achieve. It doesn't mean because I think it, I can have it. It can. I have the capacity to achieve it. So now my life is happier. I'm healthier. Yeah. I give more to other people. I help people critically think, because that's the key. Even as children, I remember I didn't even understand it at the time. I gave my daughter decisions. Now, it was in the confines of great decisions. The 3 decisions were good for me, either one she chose. However, I let her start thinking things out and making decisions and learning. And that's what sometimes we miss today. The power comes from building the muscle in the mind to accurately think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really, that's really huge, because then when that muscle is built through repetition, then when the next opportunity comes to use that accurate thinking muscle, it's easier because you've already conditioned it that way, and it becomes natural reflex. It's not work, it's not hard, it's just how now you operate.
Right. Because life is not perfect. I mean, to be honest with you, life just isn't perfect. So we have to work through the imperfection to get to perfection for us. So we're in a place of harmony, and we're doing what we're passionate about. And because I say this thing, and it's my quote, but it says, where the focus goes, your power flows.
Yeah.
So wherever your focus goes, so my focus is on the positive aspect, so my power goes in that direction. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect. It just means I'm becoming.
Yes. Oh, that's good. Hey, so let's think about the same question in another realm, which is when you work with people, can you think of a scenario that you've worked with someone, maybe a client or someone that you've talked through and worked through obstacles when you taught them accurate thinking and then they experienced this transformation in their life? What were some of those scenarios that you walked through with them?
I do some classes for teenagers right now, and it's about money. So what they're learning is they're connecting time and money because they had the two separated. And now they're more accurately thinking and bringing the connection. So now they're being more time conscious and that's going to help them for their future. I have a couple people in the class that have said it has impacted their TV watch. It has impacted, and we're talking young people. So we're talking about,
yeah.
And it has impacted what they're doing as far as on the phone, because it's a site for our time and money, and we have to control it. Now, the other person, which I think was a more powerful impact because they were a major leader in the community, and I listened to them and asked them challenging questions, and then internally they had the answer already. They just needed to get to it, if that makes sense. They need to get to it. So their personal life became better, and even though they were a extreme public success, their personal life was pretty jacked up. And so once they became more self-aware, they moved from being stuck in some areas and growing their personal life, then their actions were different, and they ended up with a greater peace of mind. And it has really impacted them relationally and financially.
And working with people like you do, I'm sure that becomes a really rewarding part of your impact career, to see that, number one, these principles are working, but then that you got to play a part in that, right?
Right, absolutely. And the funny thing is they had to work in my life first, so now I become my advertisement by telling my story, part of my story. But seeing that is such a sense of peace and resolve to know that you have impacted someone else's life is something that is priceless. You're right.
And I'm sure when you saw that, that's what inspired you to become a Napoleon Hill certified leader. What do you think some tips or words of encouragement would be if someone else is considering becoming a certified leader as well? What would you say to encourage them?
I would say go ask if they're looking for something and they don't know really what it is. You know, they're gifted in a lot of areas, but they want to know what they should take their total focus on. And I would say the other thing is Napoleon Hill principles teach you to be selfless, not selfish. Mm-hmm. It's about giving back to the community. It's about giving to people, and by making your life better and helping them make their life better. If somebody's looking for purpose in their life and looking for something beyond just typical success, what people may call success, I would tell them to go after it, even if it's only for them. Because when I started going, my search was really personal. It became, as a certified instructor, became that once I realized the impact it had on me. So that was where the
Yeah, that's a great point. Hey, so we've been talking about accurate thinking. We've dialed in what it is, some misconceptions, some transformations for you, for a client. I always like to end this kind of a talk with the question, let's put it into action. So what would you say the 5-step implementation action plan would be for this principle?
Okay, I would say tell a person to think about how they think. Choose what they want to achieve, then go in and make a plan on how to achieve it as they move forward. And remember that accurate thinkers they're critical thinkers. So when they look at books and radio, TV, all of this media, to actually just think about it. And then be self-aware. The third one was be self-aware. Self-reflection, like the who, the what, the when, the where, the how in their lives, and connect it to that. And then take control of their own mind. The mind is a mainframe computer of their life. And if they only put garbage in, they're only going to get garbage out. So no excuses. And then go back to Principle 2 from Napoleon Hill, and that's the Mastermind Alliance. Build an alliance that helps you grow. And that way, because it allows every person to deserve success. And success should not be built on other people's opinions. It's based on what success is for us. So take control of your own mind and release your own personal greatness.
Well said. excellent summary. I love that last piece of encouragement, and that gives you that energy to move forward. So, Johnny, thank you so much for your insights. What's the best way people can reach out and connect with you?
Actually, my website, and it has all my media connections, is Johnny, it's www, of course, Johnny, JOHNNIE, Lloyd, LLOYD.com. So reach out. I'm looking forward to hearing from them.
Johnny, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the It's Your Fate podcast. To connect with me and pick up a copy of one of my books, please visit www.leffordfate.com. That's leffordfate.com. You've met your fate. Now let's walk into your destiny.